taxfreegov.com.
Welcome to another episode of The Plug. It's Wednesday, April 23rd. I am your host, Tommy Monty. I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in last week. If you didn't get a chance to check last week's episode, make sure you go to taxfreegov.com, click on The Plug, and you should be able to get the latest podcasts as well as previous podcasts for free. You just have to download them to your portable devices or whatever you use. Like I said, it's Wednesday, April the 23rd. I got an app on my phone. It's called the Black History Calendar. You should be able to get it from, I got an Android, so I got it from the Android Play Store or the Google Play Store. It basically gives you certain things that's going on. Actually, it tries to have something every day that's related to black people. Some of the information is very important. Some of it is semi-important. And some of it is just something that happened on a day. I think it's ironic just due to the fact I want to kind of focus on a mind frame of innovation and thinking out of the box that today was the birthday of Granville T. Woods. He's an inventor of over 50 products. He was born in Columbus, Ohio in 1856. The steam boiler furnace, the telegraph system for trains, and automatic air brakes were some of his inventions. So we need to get back to those type of guys and mind frames and making that something that we're on. So Granville T. Woods, inventor of over 50 products, was born 1856. I had to bring the calculator out to see how long ago that was. It was a while ago, well over 100 years. So he'll be old if he was alive today. Anyway, I'm going to get into some very powerful stuff here. We're going to come back. I got some little topics I want to chop up with everybody in the world. So stay tuned and stick around.
We're dealing with the total system structure. And so the question is, what is that system all about? Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, the famous black sociologist and historian, in 1903 said, the problem of the 20th century is the question of the color line. Now that was one way of talking about racism, white supremacy. But if we respect ourselves as black people, we have to respect what are our people saying about the problem. So that was 1903, 109 years ago. Then mid-century, the important thing that writer Neely Fuller Jr., I hope everybody is familiar with his work. And Neely Fuller came along and said, the system is racism, white supremacy. Du Bois called it the color line. Neely Fuller said it's racism, white supremacy. And he said it functions in all areas of people activity. And I want everybody to understand this when they leave. He said the system functions where? In economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. The religion, that's why you got a white image of God. You see, so that the people of color, we're worshiping the people that oppress us. But he said it's the whole system, and Neely Fuller helped me understand it's a system. And so as a psychiatrist, I said, well, why? Why would people set up a system like this on planet Earth? Why? See, like little children, 2 years old, they know how to start saying, why? Why? See, if people tell them to shut up, don't tell them to shut up. You might have to say, I don't know why. I don't know the answer, but the child is looking for cause and effect. They're looking to understand this world that they have been born into. So I said, why would a system of racism, white supremacy be set up on planet Earth? Here's our planet. And I just thought about, by the time you go to medical school and train in psychiatry, you've been in school a long time. In the course of being in school a long time, one of the things that I learned was that people who have white skin are a tiny
in the Hall of Remembrance of the Jewish Holocaust Memorial. As my young son Farrakhan, who is seated here, give him a black hand, Brother Malik, and Brother Malik, Zulu, Shabazz, and others who were with us as we stood in the Hall of Remembrance of the Holocaust Memorial. Thank you, son. We read the inscription on the wall of the Hall of Remembrance of the Jewish Holocaust Memorial. And let these words be imprinted on our hearts and in our minds here tonight. Only guard yourself and guard your soul carefully, lest you forget the things your eyes saw, and lest these things depart your heart all the days of your life. And you shall make them known to your children and to your children's children. I say the same for what you have heard and seen and will see here tonight. These esteemed scholars who have come before me, they have busted the statistics and dropped the realistics, and now I'm gonna kick the ballistics. We set forth here tonight that the Black Holocaust is 100 times worse than the so-called Jew Holocaust. Why do we even need to make a comparison? Because it was the old no-good President Buck-Tooth Jimmy Carter who stepped out and stepped forward when they were beginning to prepare to build the Jewish Holocaust Memorial. It was Jimmy Carter who said that it was the most unspeakable crime in the history of all time. He made a statement of comparison. When we deal with General David Eisenhower made similar statements that we read and we saw on the walls of the Jewish Holocaust Memorial yesterday, making the world to believe that this was the most overpowering crime and atrocity against humankind in the history of all times. Everyone has come and said that it is the worst Holocaust that has ever existed, but all of a sudden when we come out on you, you now back down and claim that you never made a comparison. Well, tonight I'm going to make a comparison. We're going to lay the case out and see which Holocaust is the most dreadful, which Holocaust is the most vicious and bestial Holocaust, most bloody Holocaust ever recorded in the annals of time. But you want to deny us because you owe us reparations and you don't want to pay up today. The so-called Jew Holocaust lasted, you with me? Because I got to drop this stuff tonight because I'm a truth terrorist. I'm a knowledge gangster. I'm a black history hitman. I'm a lie killer, urban gorilla. I gotta be a roughneck. Gotta be a roughneck. It's the only way I know to go. The Jew Holocaust lasted 10 years. But the Holocaust of the black man and woman lasted over 500 years. Let's look at it. 110 years, 500 years. Maybe I'm a little confused. Maybe I'm too much of a racist. Maybe I'm too much of a bigot and an anti-Semite when I'm really none of that. But maybe just by chance, 10 years is greater than 500 years. Let's kick the ballistics. You say you lost 6 million, and we question that. You say you lost 6 million, but for the sake of argument, we'll give you 6 million. We lost over 600 million lives in the the black Holocaust over the past 6,000 years and over the past 400 to 500 years in specific. Maybe I'm a little bit confused. I'm too big a racist or an anti-Semite or a bigot, and maybe somehow 6 million is greater than 600 million. That possibility is there. You have your Schindler's List, which is really a swindler's list, because you were involved in the slave trade. You were involved, and you don't want to actually accept your involvement because you too want to escape reparations. You want to escape reparations and what is due the black man and black woman. Let's look at it. You talk about the death marches. My guide was a very nice lady, Miss Sarah Bloomfield. She worked very closely with my son, Farrakhan, and I as we were there. And we listened to Miss Bloomfield closely and carefully. We didn't go in for a show. We went in to study. We went in to do research. It wasn't a media event. We didn't even allow the media to go in with us so they would be following us around, looking at us at everything we were trying to feel and study. My son and I, we looked. Yes, we were sensitive to what we saw, pain and suffering. We're the chosen people of God. We are a spiritual people by nature, and we feel the pain and suffering of any people anywhere on the face of the planet Earth, even the people who helped to put us in this condition. So maybe we need to reevaluate that.
Welcome back to The Plug. You're tuned in with Tommy Money. I hope you enjoyed what we had going for you just previously. Powerful words from Dr. Khaled, as well as powerful words from Dr. Welsing. Now I'm going to kind of highlight Dr. Welsing. She does work that is not done in a massive scale. You know, we need black people doing research on black problems and issues that affect black people from both sides of the board. And her analyzing is much appreciated, and I just wish that it would catch like wildfire. You know, we always depend on others to do research on us, and we're not researching them, you know. So we should be having a 50-50. If they're researching us, we should be researching them. If they're researching themselves, we should be researching ourselves. So it should be a 50-50 across the board. All right, and I just like the way she does her research and conducts her seminars and her speeches. There's not anything that she does to belittle a group. She speaks on it from a neutral stance to let you know what's going on and why things are the way they are. So, again, appreciate the works of Dr. Welsing. All right, now I'm going to move on to another topic here I want to talk about is past Easter, which changes every year. Unwritten rule, after Easter or around Easter, you can get those gardens, get your gardens ready. It's officially spring. Now, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, so that's Zone 6B. And Zone 6B, I can grow kale, lettuce, spinach, peas, sweet potatoes, onions. Now, there's other vegetables I can grow, but those are just a few. And that's just in zones. That's in Zone 6B. So if you're in another area in the country, I would advise for you to go to Plant Hardiness or Google that, and it'll be a U.S. website, a .gov website actually, that should tell you exactly what zone you're in, and from there you can Google what plants work best for your zone. Being in the area that I'm in, St. Louis, Missouri, I'm also want to grow some fruit. So if I want to grow fruit, let me pull this up on my phone. Now, if I want to grow fruit grows differently than your vegetable. So fruits would be more of a tree. You have the option, and where we are, to grow apples. The variety would be a Red Free, a Liberty, or Enterprise. We also have the options to grow apricots, blackberries, blueberries, cherries, and grapes. Multiple things you can grow in St. Louis or in the Missouri area. You just have to find the correct variety. And if you have the space to grow fruit, because it would be a little bit more space consuming, because most fruit grows either on vines or on trees. It's not like vegetables, which grow from the ground, or it's just foliage plants. Fruit actually would have to bloom. But I want to do that as well. So I'm trying to find out what nut tree I would want to, try to plant in the yard as well. Also, this is just something that everyone should be doing. Anyway, this is something you can have on your windowsill until the weather is warm enough for you to set it outside. Or if you don't really have the space to sit it outside, you can at least have something on the windowsill. Whether it's an herb or a vegetable, you can at least try to have some form of food that you're bringing in on your own will, to where you can verify what's being used to grow it, what chemicals were sprayed on it, if any. We're just trying to eliminate the USDA being in control of everything that we do, or whoever controls the food market, because once an outbreak happens, it's too late. Things that we can do ourselves, we should be doing. We need to get back to that form of life. So, all right, I want to get back into some more things, and I want to come back and I want to talk to you all about National Black Television. If y'all heard of it, if you haven't, I'm gonna tell you what I like about it, what I think it can add to it, because I don't want to say any cons. Cons mean dislikes. I don't really dislike anything. I just see room for addition. So most definitely, we're gonna come back. We're gonna wrap up the show. Keep it locked in. Let's see what we got for you.
We are talking again about why study history. So a lot of people think history is just a study of dates, you say, and reading information of things that happened in the past. That is certainly not the case. History in the human mind is always present. The past is always present. Things that happened to you at 1 year old, 2 year old, when you were 3 years old, are operating in you right at this moment. And the way you react to other people, the kind of taste you have, the desires you have, the kind of love relations you seek, and all of those kind of things are to a great extent determined by your experience before you were 3 or 4 years old. In other words, that experience, those experiences between birth and actually even in the womb itself, but between birth, 2 and 3 and 4 years old, operate right now to color your perception of other people, of yourself, to determine to a good degree the nature of your interaction with other people. In other words, then, the past is not something that's dead and gone and dropped off in your mind. It operates right here at this very moment, this very second, and it will operate until the day you die. And the same thing occurs in the history of a race. If you look at the history of a race, the way you look at an individual, those experiences that happened to us 200 and 300 years ago are not dead and gone by a long shot. The ways we relate to other people, many of our political goals today, many of our social goals right now, many of the things that we desire to achieve as a people come from our experience during slavery. Many of us are sitting here right now wanting to assimilate with white folk, wanting to be one. Many of us are struggling with feelings of inferiority and all of those kinds of things. Where did you think that started? You think it started here today? It started as soon as we hit the shores of this country. And so the experience of ourselves as a group is alive in us. Where else can history be alive but in the minds of people? If people were not in existence, what would be the point? We wouldn't even have to be discussing history. Another indication of the importance of history, of course, is the fact that those who rule over us and those who dominate us have worked very hard at distorting our history and at hiding our history from us and at falsifying our history. So if history were not that important to everyday life, to real life, and to concrete activities, why then has this nation and the people who rule it worked so hard to destroy African history? Why are they resisting the inclusion of African history and African culture in the educational structure if they think that inclusion is purely harmless from their point of view, you see. In other words, then, we need to gain a new appreciation of history and need to recognize that history is always present. And that to a good extent, if we are to change our present behavior, and if we are to change the future, then we must change the past and change our relationship to it. And therefore, the falsification of and mislabeling of black consciousness deals with why we should study history. It deals with history as mythology. And you can recognize in your everyday behavior, if you've been given the wrong history about a person, how that can change your behavior toward that person. Or if people have a wrong history about you, they've been given the wrong information about you. People interact with other people based on their history of the other person, you see. If people want to change the nature of people's relationships, they will often falsify the history of one or both of those persons, knowing that one or both of those persons are going to interact with each other differently depending on their history or that sense of the history of the individual. This goes on with groups, ladies and gentlemen. That's why those in power then, you see, rewrite history. Because in rewriting history, they rewrite the person's perception of himself, whose history they've rewritten. They also then change that person's behavior and relationships with other people, given the history that they have come to believe. And they also change the way other people interact with those people, you see, based on the history that they've learned about the people, you see. That's why any group has to take command of its history and to make sure that it projects the kind of history that operates in its best interest. It cannot let another people write its history and let another people, you see, determine the nature of its history.
Hope you're enjoying this episode of The Plug. You're still tuned in with Tommy Monty. I'm going to touch on this again. You can download all our episodes, season 1 through 3, from taxfreegov.com. Now, I've been playing Dr. Amos Wilson speeches from him, or just clips from his speeches. I played one last week. I played one just a minute ago. And I'm just trying to get you familiar with names that you should have already known. You should know Dr. Amos Wilson. But you don't, because I just got hip to him. I'm just saying these people have been hidden from us in modern times. These ain't slave times we talking where they don't want us to read and things like that. They still are hiding people who are trying to provide you knowledge. And they're only giving us what they're considering to be knowledge. So I'm going to try to beat your brain with the mind-altering knowledge that you need. I already know what to call it, but basically we need that. We don't need to be fed lies. We need to be fed truth. You know, and the truth might hurt. The truth might not be what some people want you to know, but it's the truth. Truth don't need no support. Somebody else told me that, a friend of mine. Anyway, I'm going to get to talking about NBTV. NBTV is National Black TV. It's on the internet. I think you can get directly to it at NB, N as in Nancy, B as in boy, TV.com. Or it may be, NBTV1, the number 1.com. I like them because they're broadcasting themselves as the world's first 24 hours, 7 days a week network. And they cost $7.99, such as a Netflix. Now they also have a program to where you can get paid to get them subscribers. So let's say if you get them 50,000 people to sign up for their television channels, they'll give you $50,000. So they're giving you $1 per sign up. Can't beat that. That's a pretty good program, especially for something that black people need to support. Like I said, I do see room for them to add things on, but by it just being something directed at black people, it is something that we need to take under our wing and nurture it, guide it, and make sure that it works in the interest of our people. Now, one of the things that stood out to me that I love about it is just the informational commercials that they have during their, they call it internet TV. It's more of a live TV, so to speak. When I caught it, because I haven't watched it all, but the during the hours when I was watching it, it was syndicated program. I think it was Martin and Bernie Mac, but I did see a Muhammad Ali movie. But during like times of commercial break, they show commercials of adopt a kid or just something positive, reading, don't drop out of school, Dr. King talking positive words, or Tupac Shakur talking positive messages. Just things like that are needed. We do need a station that's directed at black people, black problems, black issues. And by it being so new and fresh, like I said, it still has things it can add on. Like I noticed that it didn't work on my phone. I have a S3 Galaxy. So hopefully, it was just that. The TV didn't work through my phone. They do have certain things that work, I guess videos that they post to YouTube, but directly on the phone it didn't. But I was able, to watch everything through my laptop. I hooked the laptop up to the TV, and, I watched everything seamlessly. I even watched Meteor Man. I don't know if anybody think I'm slow or nerdy for watching that, but I just want to say something. Meteor Man. Have there been any movies on the level of Meteor Man? Have your black producers given you a movie in the range of Meteor Man, where there's a black superhero defending the community? We know that other cultures will give you Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, but what are black people giving their children as heroes? Are we not heroes? Do we not want our children to look up to people who look like them in a heroic science fiction manner? Can we create science fiction? So if not, then that's what it is. Anyway, that's NBTV. They have multiple forums on their station. They have the on-demand movies. Like I said, I watched the Meteor Man on there. They also have a sports news. So there are 4 main sections on their site, $7.99 a month. For right now, I'd say $8 a month is worth it. I would rather have this station and just have my internet access to certain programs that I like to watch more so than cable right now. It's more beneficial. So if you get the chance, if you got free money, go ahead and support NBTV and try to get people signed on and see if you can get that $1 per person. They're trying to create jobs for you as well. So before we get out of here, I do want to say some words, and I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up after that. What are you misusing? I ask this because misuse is in the world. People are misusing words, misusing money, misusing power, misusing knowledge, misusing the government, misusing the people, misusing the resources, misusing education, misusing social media, misusing weapons, misusing transportation, misusing religion, misusing justice systems, misusing our minds, misusing our kids, misusing our heritage, misusing our perception of the future. So I ask, what are you misusing? Tune in next week to another episode of The Plug. Signing out, Tommy Money. Everybody be safe to the next go round.
TaxFreeGov.com